Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we are talking about how to strategically improve your eating. Strategically being the key word. Because every time you try and improve your eating, you try and improve all of it. And to try and improve all of your eating at once is the opposite of strategic. It's well, maybe it is strategic, but it's a strategy for failing. Okay. So let me put it in a different context. If you were going to learn to play the piano, never played the piano before, and you're going to start playing it, if all of a sudden you say, okay, I'm going to learn to play the piano and I'm going to start playing 8 hours a day, every day I'm going to practice and play for 8 hours so that I get good as fast as possible. Well, that would be a terrible strategy for actually playing the piano, because after the first day, your fingers would be killing you. You would hate the piano. You would never want to go near it again. And so that's a terrible strategy to actually get good at the piano. Now, on paper, it may sound great, right? Because on paper, it's just about the most action you can take, the fastest results possible. So in fantasy land, on paper, not real world, that's a great strategy. Yeah, do everything perfect. Okay. But in the real world, where us humans are living, trying to change everything all at once is overwhelming, stressful, frustrating, difficult, hard. And it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. Okay. So it's really, really important that you become strategic when you want to improve your reading. And the same way that you would be strategic about learning to play the piano, meaning I hope part of your strategy be, I will start off relatively slow. I play 0 minutes my whole life. I'll start with 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, and we'll go from there. And so if you were going to get good at anything, dancing, musical instrument, learning a language, drawing, anything, you start here and you just keep getting better and you keep building on your skills. When it comes to improving your reading, you skip that and you jump right to eating perfect for a little bit. And then you freak out, get overwhelmed, and you go right back to what you always do. So the big difference here that I hope that you're starting to realize is your success is not about magically some Monday you have some amazing amount of willpower where you're able to just be perfect forever more. It's about realizing that this approach of starting off being perfect doesn't make any strategic sense. And a much smarter approach would be to let me systematically and strategically improve my eating in a way where I keep building on my improvements. And so maybe you start by focusing on your worst eating habit and a healthy eating habit each day. And you work on implementing that, making it simple, easy, comfortable, enjoyable for yourself. And you work on it and you get it solid so it starts to run on its own. Then you move on to the next thing. Then you move on to the next thing. Then you move on to the next thing. And what you do is you keep building on your previous successes. That's how you succeed in every area of your life, except for when you change your reading. You never use that approach. You just go straight to perfection. But really, straight to perfection is straight to overwhelm. And it's a bad strategy. So the solution to this is to be more strategic and start small. Build on what you're doing. Start to build on your automations, things that you've programmed in, and start to run automatically, and then move forward with them. So hope this helps you out. If you want to support making this reality for you, it starts in your mind. Go get the free hypnosis session I've got for you. Click the link in my bio to get it, or go to programyourselfthin.com. You can get it that way there. But go listen to that hypnosis session, watch the video I made for you, read the emails I send you. They'll all help you to live at your goal weight. So I hope this helps you out. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Nara says, what are clients' successful strategies in coping with it? I'm not sure what you mean, coping with overwhelm. I'm not sure exactly coping with what. Oh man, I'm getting hot here. So I will say coping with overwhelm, if that's the question, I hope that's an easy one. And the coping with overwhelm is simple. You just break things down into smaller pieces. Again, I think people look at one side of the equation. They have this ridiculous plan and they think the only answer is to just jump into it 100% all at once. And that's just not true. Okay. So there you go. But if that's not the question you were asking, let me know and I will answer it. Hey, what's up, Santina? How's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, look at the first comment. No, I did not see that, Nura. I didn't see the first comment. So, yeah. If you want to repost that, I'll check it out. How's it going, Santina? Yeah, biggest thing, finally back. And I think that's such an underrated part of the process is it's just completely and totally natural to get into something and then to not be into it as much. And that's why in Program Yourself Thin, we really have the concept of all or something. And I find this very, very much in line with other areas of my life, things I've been really, really into, and then I take a step back from them. I'll play guitar, get really into it. I take a step back. Get into yoga. Let's take a step back. That's always going to happen. But the difference is I never go to nothing. Like I'm always playing some guitar. Even if it's just a little bit, I'm always playing some minimum. So again, going from all or nothing to all or something, always doing something. That's how you're constantly improving, at least 1% a day. What's up, Karen? Karen says, "What do you do when you want something sweet?" Well, okay. When I want something sweet, I look at both sides to it. So first, when I want something sweet, the first thing my brain says is, okay, what sweet things have I been eating? Because if I've been eating more candy or desserts or whatever, I tend to want more sweets. So that's the first thing I pay attention to. Now, if I want something sweet, my first line of defense is typically fruit, maybe honey even. Okay. And I know I prefer honey just because it's straight sweet and it kind of gets me over the hump sometimes when I'm feeling it. So again, my first line of defense is natural sweetness. So I have that place to go to. And that's what I'll do. And then beyond that, and I still want something sweet. Dark chocolate, I'm a fan of that. So again, I kind of have like a buffer zone. Do you know what I mean? Like I got to go through like 5 things to finally get to like the Ben and Jerry's ice cream or the cookies or the whatevers. And I think it's important to have some buffer zones. So it's like, again, I say fruit, and you say, well, is that a buffer zone? I have a bunch of different fruits in my head, apple, banana, mandarin. If I'm really feeling something, maybe I'll go to the store and get, a kiwi or a pomegranate or just something a little more unusual, mango. But that's my first line of defense. Does it always work? No, of course not. But it's not about being perfect. It's about percentage improvements to what you're doing, and, yeah, so that's my suggestion there. Nura says, it was about the clip you posted about diet trauma. It was short. I would appreciate if you talked more about it. The clip about diet trauma, I don't even remember what that was about because there's so many like, hold on a second. There's so many diet traumas. So I don't remember which diet trauma I was talking about. I know I was recently talking about this somewhere, I think on a podcast, but I've kind of forgot the specifics of it. But I mean, I will tell you this just as a general rule, right? So there's lots of specific diet traumas you diet or suffer. Okay. My overall general solution to dieting trauma is to stop fucking dieting. So it's very difficult, to stay in a traumatic situation and try and work on your trauma. So the first step to, healing yourself of your traumas is to stop, get out of the traumatic situations. So stop dieting. There's no solution ultimately with that. Dieting is not about you living at your goal weight. Dieting is always about you losing weight. It's always about you taking action to lose weight. Well, at some point you stop losing weight. So to me, the solution to, again, this is the big solution. Sometimes you have to do the detailed work of the specific trauma. Okay. But the general big picture answer is stop dieting. If you stop dieting and you put yourself into this concept of living at my goal weight forever, that's my goal. All of a sudden your brain just shifts to a different focus. And a lot of that trauma from the dieting in the past just disappears because you're no longer doing it. Some of it remains. I'm not saying it doesn't, but most of the diet trauma, can be dealt with quickly when you move past it, and you move past it by stopping dieting. Now, I know that's challenging at first for you because you all have been trained your entire life to think about weight loss through the prism of dieting. That's all you know. For when it comes to weight loss, dieting, surgery, and the medication. That's it. Those are your three options. And dieting does not work. Dieting 100% doesn't work. I mean, it's an absolute fact. We've had 100 years of diets. There's not one diet that works. There's diets that help you lose weight. I'll never argue that, but there's no diet there that keeps you at your goal weight. Which one? So again, we've got to step out of that mindset because again, dieting's about losing weight. What I'm talking about is about living at your goal weight. And if those sound like the same to you, they're not. Take a step back and think about it because that distinction is crucial. What's up, D? D says, if binging is your worst habit, how would you start changing that? If binging was my worst habit, what I would do is I'd start paying attention to the binging because most likely if binging was my worst habit, that would mean that it was showing up multiple times a week. And if it's showing up multiple times a week, there's different flavors of binging. Some of that binging is because I'm getting too hungry. Some of that binging is because I get emotional at certain times. Some of that binging is just habitual. So I want to understand the different patterns of binging that I have first. And so once I understand what they are, then I can work on fixing them. And I would do that one at a time. So out of the binging habits I have, I want to know which one's the worst. Where do I consume the most calories? And you can tell me this, Steve, if you want. If you tell me what your worst binging habit is, we can literally do this right now. I'll walk you right through the process. But the first step is, what's the worst binging habit I have? Worst meaning, where do the most calories come in daily, weekly? So it could be the binging habit that happens multiple times a week where you're consuming lots of calories. Then I want to focus in on that. And I want to know the details of it because I want to understand the details of it because I want to resolve it. I don't want to just stop it. I don't want to fight against it. I want to resolve it. I want to understand why the binging happens. Binging doesn't just happen out of nowhere typically. There's usually reasons why you're binging subconsciously. So we want to understand what those reasons are so that we can resolve them at the core, at the source. So if that makes sense. But if you want to go deeper with this, tell me what your worst binging habit is, and we will literally go through it. What's up, Mustafa? Mustafa says, I'm alone today and I overate to numb myself. Well, great job, Mustafa. Again, you recognize, this is what I mean. Again, it's the awareness of saying what triggered that. Why did I overeat today? Oh, because I'm alone and I felt lonely and I used food to distract myself from it. Great. Again, I know that it's not the ideal behavior you want, but my favorite saying, I swear, is that the good judgment is the result of bad judgment. So on Program Yourself Thin, we're growing and evolving and improving on the backs of our mistakes. We love our mistakes. Our mistakes let us know what to work on. So we don't fall into a pit of despair when we make mistakes or we overeat or whatever. It's just part of the process. And so Mustafa is a step forward than most people because they say, okay, well, when I get lonely, I tend to go to food. So now most people, dieters, would say, okay, when I get lonely, I have to stop overeating. I have to stop emotional eating and lonely eating. And Program Yourself Thin and say, oh, I'm feeling lonely. How do I want to feel? I want to feel connected. I want to feel more engaged, more, connected with another human. And so now the next question becomes, okay, how can I create that? How can I have more connection in my life? You see? So now we're going a level deeper and working to fix the core problem, which is the loneliness, not the eating. The eating is a symptom of a deeper problem in that case. And so you're one step closer to figuring that out, Mustafa. So great awareness. Now keep going with it though, and ask the solution-oriented question. Okay, when I feel lonely, what do I want to feel? What can I do instead of using food to distract myself? Because the food didn't make you not feel lonely. Like you said, it just, you overate to numb yourself, to distract yourself. So once you're done eating, you don't not feel lonely. Now you feel lonely and you feel frustrated and disappointed. You see? So again, we want to go back to the beginning and say, what am I actually looking for? I don't want to feel lonely. I want to feel connected, engaged, focused, in conversation, whatever, in rapport, whatever it is that you want to feel. And then you go to work on creating that. And to me, that's a much better approach. Karen says, yes, exactly. It triggers me sometimes to eat more sweets. Banana helps me. Yeah, that's great. I've learned my triggers though, only by serving size, not whole cake or pie. Yeah. Same with me, Karen. I mean, that's a big, like, Ben and Jerry's thing I do. If I'm going to eat Ben and Jerry's, and I don't stop myself. I can eat as much Ben and Jerry's as I want. Okay. That's what I tell myself. Now that's one side of myself. On the other side, I don't want to eat a lot of Ben and Jerry's because I like having the weight in the body and the health and happiness I have. Okay. But I can eat as much as I want at the same time. So part of my strategy, Ben and Jerry's, I would never get a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. No way. I'm not keeping a pint of that in my freezer. That's just nudging me and triggering me to eat a lot more of it. So if I want Ben and Jerry's, I go and I get the little cup of it. It's a serving size. It's still 270 calories, but it's one size. And so that means I got to get up. I got to go to the store. There's a lot of barriers to make that happen compared to just going to my freezer and eating it right out of a pint thing. So I put those barriers in place intentionally. Now I can eat it whenever I want, but there are barriers to go get it. And most of the time, those barriers prevent me from actually doing it because I'm lazy. So, yeah, I think the serving size trick is very, very effective and helpful. So great job, Karen. So that's super. Yeah. And so the banana helps you. Great. You got a banana, but add to that. That's what I'm saying. I think, most people, because in America, we're not trained to eat fruit and vegetables and a lot of stuff. So a lot of times, I got one fruit, a banana, I got an apple. But there's a million other fruits. You know what I mean? Like a million other fruits. You're so obsessed with the fucking next flavor of the Cheez-Its. You're up to date on the most recent flavor of the Lay's potato chip. Get an interest, get a curiosity and interest focused on all the different fruits there are. There's a lot of fruit that can kind of, be pretty interesting and, occupy your mind. So go find an interesting fruit, get a couple more options in there, Karen, and you'll probably feel different. D says, my worst binging habits is weekends with emotions and boredom. Okay, great. So again, D, and I know we've talked about this a bit, so don't feel bad. Like that's another thing. Boy, if there's one thing I could share with you, having coached, I've done almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions. So I've done a lot of coaching in my life. And I would say if there's one thing I could like magically install on a person's mind, it would be that don't feel bad if you've worked on something and haven't figured it out yet. I think that's one of the craziest parts of being an adult is that in your mind, what you should do. And logically, it makes perfect sense. I should eat this way. I should do this thing. This is what I should do. We understand it quickly. Okay. But knowing something and being able to do it are two totally different things. And a lot of times, if we take D, for example, say, okay, my weekend is my worst eating of the week where I'm bored and I'm kind of emotional and I overeat. And I've been doing that for the last couple of years on the weekends, especially. Okay. So that's an ingrained habit. It's ingrained in the sense that, the way you write with your hand, you write with your hand out of habit, right? Because you've learned how to write with one hand and you just do it. And so if you all of a sudden want to learn to write with the other hand, you know how to write. The logic of how to write is there. The behavioral muscular memory knowledge of how to do it automatically is not. And so to talk about your weekend eating conceptually is pretty easy work. Oh, just eat better. Oh, don't do that anymore. Stop emotional eating and just eat the right amount. Oh, okay, great. But who gives a shit? I said that. So what? You don't know how to do that. You don't have the muscle memory. You don't have the thought patterns, the neural connections, the strategies, the mindset to actually do that. It takes practice. It takes effort. It takes trying things and tweaking and working it. And so I just want to reinforce that, I don't give a shit. I approach my worst eating habit. I say, it's on, motherfucker. I don't care if this takes me 10 years, 100 years to figure out. You're next. I'm figuring you out. I don't care. And I did this. My worst eating habit was snacking at night. It was hard. It was hard getting a handle on that. It took me months, like 6 months to a year to really dial it in. But all of a sudden, when I figured it out, now my worst eating habit, the habit that I did consistently every single day on autopilot that brought the most unnecessary calories into my body was gone forever. Do you think that made it a lot easier to live at my goal weight? See, you dieters have completely the wrong mindset here, but this isn't a short-term approach. This is a long-term commitment to live at your goal weight, and we're going to do it strategically. So the weekend habits, again, you have to understand that this is going to be a longer process than you probably thought, but the steps are the same all the time. And so it's about understanding. Great job, by the way, D, because you have a lot more knowledge and awareness now than you had 5 months ago. And so you just keep improving. Okay. And so the answer becomes, okay, I'm bored on the weekends. Great. Boredom eating is very common. What's the answer? Well, just don't eat when you're bored. That is not the answer to me. That is not a good answer to me. Oh, I'm a boredom eater. I got to stop eating when I'm bored. Nope, that's not going to happen. When you get bored, you don't give a fuck. You're going to eat. So the secret is, how are some other ways we can resolve our boredom without food? What are some other ways we can entertain ourselves distract ourselves, focus ourselves, that don't involve food. You don't want to feel bored. What do you want to feel? I want to feel entertained. I want to feel curious. I want to feel focused. I want to feel engaged. Whatever the words are you want to feel, we put all our brain power into figuring that out. So that never mind about your boredom eating. How about we worry about your boredom? How can you be alive on Earth in 2025 and be bored? Listen, it's not your fault. We've been conditioned and trained to be bored people. We haven't been trained how to genuinely fulfill our emotional needs and our internal intrinsic values and needs. So a lot of us get bored, but you don't have to be bored. What's a hobby that you wish you used to do and you kind of let go? What's a hobby you want to do? What's something you could do on the weekend that would not be boring, that would be stimulating, interesting, something you look forward to? Do you have those answers? You do or you don't, right? I mean, change comes down to two things. You either don't know what to do or you don't know how to get yourself to do it. So if you're bored on the weekends, the first question is, what can you do that's actually interesting and stimulating that doesn't involve food? Until you have the answer, what are you going to do? There's no path forward, in my opinion. Once you have the answers, then the question goes, okay, how do I get myself to do this more? Oh, I like to draw. That's actually kind of interesting. Great. How do you get yourself to draw? Well, I need a notepad, I need a pencil, and I need someplace to learn. Oh, I'll find some YouTube videos and learn. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, again, I'm just giving you an example, but yeah, if boredom is a trigger for you, the answer is not to stop eating when you're bored. The answer is, how can I be more engaged and interested and stimulated and, without food? That's the answer. That's where it comes from. Ordering skip the dishes also. What's that? Is that a book or something? Let's skip the dishes. Skip the dishes. Or is that just something it looks like some app. I don't know if that's what you meant or not. Karen says red hearts grapes. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, grapes. Wonderful. All right. Karen says, I think it's easier to just sit down and eat instead of doing something else, especially when tired. Well, that's a great, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Karen, because listen, it's easier to sit down and eat something when you're tired, when you don't have a plan involved. Like that's the biggest challenge for you dieters. You think like it's just so crazy you think this, but this is what you think. You're going to be shocked, I think. But a lot of times what you think, let's just say you're a boredom eater. Let's just say on the weekends I get bored and I tend to eat a lot. I binge eat on the weekends because I get bored. Let's just say. And somehow in the back of your mind, your plan moving forward is that what's going to happen is you're going to get into the weekend, you're going to get bored, and then you're going to magically think of some answer and do it. That's what you think. Yes, it is. It's fairy tale land. It makes no sense, but that's what you think. You can't think of what to do now when you're calm and relaxed, but you think that you're going to magically get into Saturday, start feeling really bored, and then magically come up with some answer and not eat. How about no? That's not going to happen. You're not prepared. So what feels easier to do is not just because something's easier to do or not do. A lot of what feels easy to do is what we've trained into ourselves. Why would it be any easier to write with your one hand than the other hand? Oh, I was naturally this hand. No, you weren't naturally that. I've seen people write with their fucking feet. So don't tell me you're naturally left-handed or right-handed. You trained one hand and now what? Now it's easy to write with one hand and hard to write with the other. So what's easier or hard? If for the last 5 years you trained yourself on the weekend to get bored and then eat food all day, that's going to feel like the easy thing to do. If for the last 5 years you've trained yourself to go take a yoga class, meet up with some friends and go see a movie in the afternoon, then that's what's going to be easy to do. You know what I mean? So again, a lot of what's easy to do really is what we've trained into ourselves and what we're prepared and programmed to do. Now, I'm not going to argue with you. Obviously, it's easier to just sit there and do nothing and do the simple act of eating. That's obviously easier to do than get ourselves to go do something. I'm not arguing that. But what I am saying is the big component behind that is if you don't have a plan, if you're going into Saturday, you wake up Saturday, you have no idea of what you're going to do what you've always done. if you go into Saturday saying, okay, I'm tired of getting bored, I'm not just going to lay in bed till 11 o'clock, get up, because there's a routine to it. You say, oh, I'm going to get up at 9 o'clock. I'm going to go down to the park. I'm going to look at the birds. I'm going to go get a coffee and do whatever. What's your plan going into Saturday? And you could tell me what your plan is. I'll tell you what you're going to do. It's pretty obvious. You do what you're programmed to do. Your behavior is extremely consistent and predictable. Yes, it is. What's up, Kelly? Kelly says, I'm curious what you've noticed about mindset similarities and differences between clients that are very overweight versus close to goal. Oh, yeah. I mean, they all move in the same direction ultimately. And I would say the most important thing, awareness is really important. Awareness of like what they're eating, very important. And a lot of times when people start working with me, there's very little awareness going on, because dieting actually makes you less aware, believe it or not. And so, all my clients, as they work with me, all become much more aware of what they're eating, what their thought patterns are, what their emotional patterns are. They recognize this. And once they become more aware of it, then they can work to improve it, optimize it. So that's the first step. Is there's way more awareness in my clients that work with me that get to their goal weight than people when they start, and they struggle with their weight. Other things are that they have a long-term focus. My clients that successfully get to their goal weight and stay there think about this as a forever process. I think about this as a forever process. I want to live at my goal weight forever. I want to keep improving and growing and optimizing forever. I love it. It's fun. And my best clients, they think the exact same way. Dieters, people that struggle with their weight, think of it as always like a temporary thing. I'm going to do something to lose some weight. But in the back of their mind, there's just a big old problem behind that thought. And it's, what are you going to do once you get to your goal weight? The challenge that every dieter has to deal with at some point. So, I mean, there's a lot of mindset similarities and differences. Obviously, there really are patterns between people that are successfully able to live at their goal weight and people that aren't. But those are a couple of them. Karen says instant gratification is dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is instant gratification, but, and again, there's instant gratification, but there's also programming. There's what you've been programmed to do. Most of your behavior has been programmed outside of your awareness. You didn't ask to see tens of millions of food ads in your life that constantly condition you to eat hyper palatable, addictive, fattening foods. You never asked for that, but you got it. So, anyways, Don says the excuses we're willing to make in order to stay unhealthy or overweight. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we got to do. I mean, again, so much, in my opinion, program yourself thin is about going from having an overweight mindset to a thin and healthy mindset, in a nutshell. And that process is basically coming to terms, recognizing, becoming aware of the bullshit you tell yourself. I mean, you are constantly bullshitting yourself. And it's about becoming aware of that bullshit and then improving it, seeing more clearly. Less bullshit, more accurate thoughts. More bullshit, better strategies. But the biggest challenge in the beginning and throughout the whole process is your bullshit, what you say to yourself, what you think that's not true, and the bullshit you tell yourself. We all got to deal with that. We're all our own best or worst hypnotists, and we're constantly like just putting ourselves to sleep and missing the big picture of stuff. That's true. Karen says, I saw someone say, don't reward yourself with food. You're not a dog, and it resonated. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. We're humans. And so, God, being a human is amazing. And it is unfortunate to me. I mean, this is why I do this every day, but you've never been trained how to use your brain. You got the most magical brain in the universe, as far as we know. You certainly have the most magical brain on earth. No other being starts off with so much potential to create their own reality as humans. So, again, I think we lose sight of that a lot because we've been so programmed since birth. I mean, we're the most mediated, conditioned, propagandized population that's ever lived on Earth, ever in the history of the world. And it comes with a price. There's a lack of awareness because it's been our whole lives, but there's, I think the biggest problem is there's a lack of realizing how much more we can be, how much easier it can be to live as the person we want to be, how much easier it can be to live at our goal weight. Think about your goal weight. Imagine really being at your goal weight. Imagine living at your goal weight for the rest of your life on near autopilot. Imagine if it was just easy, just part of what you did. That's how my life is. I dropped 50 pounds. I've been the same way for 30 years. I had one blip where I put 25 pounds on, and it's like, I'm not gonna say it's like, you start with a plot of land. You say, okay, I want to put a garden here, right? So at first it's a lot of work. You got to do all that initial stuff, but then it starts to become a little bit, it's uptake, maintenance, upkeep. It's a lot less energy. That's where you can be. Dieting is just this excessive outpouring of energy to try and change something drastically for a little while. But if you cut that shit out and start being more strategic and systematic with what you're doing, then all of a sudden you can set up a way to be thin and healthy that runs on near autopilot. That's what I really mean too. And I'm telling you, man, I'm putting these, it's the goal weight blueprints. That's what they're called now. It is weight mastery, but I'm just going with goal weight. It's been so great. I'm working on this. So these blueprints are awesome. I know I've been hyping them up, and I'm so excited for my clients to get them, because this is it. This is it. I've been able to synthesize it down to the core. And it's like, you fill these blueprints out. There's a mindset blueprint, lifestyle blueprint, eating blueprint. They're all customized around you. You fill these blueprints out. It's literally your roadmap to get to your goal weight and stay there for the rest of your life on near autopilot. Because part of the process is that it needs to be relatively easy and comfortable for you. If it's not, if it's overwhelming, you're just going to quit. So there's no point in doing that. It's the most unique approach to mastering your weight and living at your goal weight that exists, because it's built for real people. It starts with where you're at. Instead of trying to change 100% of your fucking eating in one day. God, it's stupid. Garg. God, you're impatient? I'm impatient. Are you a fucking baby? Are you a baby or an adult? Are you a 5-year-old? You're impatient. You can't stop being impatient. I can't stop being impatient. I'm gonna do keto. This is too slow. I'm gonna intermittent fast. You're a baby. Dieters are big old babies. How about that? Child. Stop being a child. You're not a child. You're an adult with a big old adult brain in your head. You can make better decisions, but it's not. Dieting is never a better decision. Oh, because you lost 40 pounds on it for 3 months one time. And that's just more proof for what I'm saying. They don't work. Oh, it worked. I lost 40 pounds. No, working means that you can live at that 40-pound lighter weight forever. That's what working means. Dropping some weight for a month or two is not working. God, it's like, I don't know, man. Dieters talk like people that are just like in an abusive relationship or something. It's crazy. How can working be because you lost some weight on it 20 years ago? Sorry. Anita says, tell us how you really feel. I know I get carried away sometimes, but it's, and I love the dieter. I love the dieter, hate the diet sort of thing. Okay. So I want to make clear, I'm not trying to be negative or mean or rude or any of this stuff. I say this stuff purely to help you, to try and break you out of the diet trance you're in. But that starts by realizing how ridiculous dieting is as a strategy. I mean, good Lord, you've tried it a bunch of times. Everyone you know's tried it a bunch of times. The whole country's tried it a bunch of times, and it doesn't work for anyone. 75% of the population's overweight or obese. 95% of people that lose weight on diet put it back on. You've tried a number of times. You don't get it to work. And now you think about weight loss 24 hours a day and you don't do anything to actually make it happen because you hate dieting. So, yeah, but I'm impatient, Jim. Oh my fucking God. Fine. Then go start a stupid diet plan. Oh, I'm impatient. Yeah, great. I'm impatient too. I mean, I have all sorts of base instincts that I manage. God, you manage all kinds of base instincts. Just add this to the list. It's just one more. I know you're impatient, but what's the impatience getting you? What is your impatience with losing weight getting you? How much weight have you lost the last 6 months, Ms. Impatient person? Right? For all this impatience, I don't understand how it's just such a weird thing to be so impatient with something you've been struggling with for 20 years. Anyways. Dolores said, I thought I had this weight thing beat, but I've gained 20 pounds back. Oh, sorry, Dolores. But listen here, great job. You did it. So you gave yourself proof that you can do it. The problem is that you were never focused on living at your goal weight. You were focused on losing weight. You lost 20 pounds, you got all excited about it, and then you didn't know what to do. That's what most people do. They trade the pleasure of the food for the excitement and pleasure of the scale going down. They get closer to their goal weight and they say, well, what do I do now? Well, where's the pleasure and the fun and excitement come now? Yeah. Because nothing matches that dopamine release of the food or the scale going down. Living your day-to-day life at your goal weight. I know I lose people here because they say, oh no, Jim, I'll be at my goal weight. It's the best thing in the world. If living at your goal weight was the best thing in the world and just being lower weight made everything magically amazing and better, don't you think more people would be there? Most people don't want to be at their goal weight because they think it's boring and miserable. Most people have negative associations to their goal weight and miserable associations to getting there. So this is a real important piece. With Program Yourself Thin, the biggest difference is you're enjoying the process. Right from the beginning, it's more relaxing and calming and grounding. It's all built to be comfortable. No, Jim, if there's no pain, there's no gain. Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. If that worked, then everyone would be at their goal weight. We've known about diets and excessive, rigid, strict diets for 100 years. And the obesity and diabetes rates keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. It's clearly something's missing. This Jay says, give us that tough love, Jim. We need it and love it. Well, good. So Dolores, it's really important for you. Go click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made, because you got to catch it now, because there's almost nothing more discouraging or destructive than when we lose weight and then put it back on. It's so discouraging. And we really got to manage that. And the way to manage it is to, again, shift your frame, shift your focus from losing weight to living at your goal weight. Hart says, is portion controlling your cravings going to work, or do I have to eliminate the craving to be skinny? Is portion controlling or cravings going to work, or do I have to eliminate the craving? Is portion controlling your cravings? I'm not sure what that means exactly, but portion control is important for sure. But again, the main issue I'm having trouble answering this, is that this question does reveal a diet mindset in one specific way. That when it comes to dieting, when you all think about weight loss, you've been conditioned to think about weight loss happening because you change one thing. Every single diet out there, literally every single one, is built around the one thing concept, meaning they know people that want to lose weight are overwhelmed, they're tired, they're stressed. Don't give them a lot of stuff to think about. Make it fucking simple, or they're not going to pay attention. So every diet has to be built around like one little thing you do. And it's funny because conceptually, it just has to be simple conceptually, not in actuality. And the best example of that is the carb thing. Okay. Keto. Just stop eating carbs. Well, what could sound easier than that? What sounds easier than just stop eating carbs? Well, just that one little, that's all I have to do. Yeah. That's all you have to do. Let me see how you do tomorrow. Because, oh yeah, I just got to stop eating carbs sounds like the simplest thing on the planet up here. When you actually go to actually live it, it's a lot harder, isn't it? Isn't it? And it gets harder each and every day. Okay. And it just goes on from there. I mean, again, I'm going to track every calorie. Oh my God. Again, sounds easy to actually pay attention to every calorie you eat and log every calorie. Like you don't already have enough on your plate. What do you just have an abundance of energy that you can just dedicate a whole bunch of it to tracking every single thing you eat? So anyways, all the diets are built around one thing, always one thing. Intermittent fasting, just don't eat for 16 hours. Counting calories, just track every point. Weight Watchers, count the points. A lot of diets, just eat 1,200 calories a day. They always simplify down to one thing. And I don't believe there's any one thing that's going to help you live at your goal weight. You got to have a holistic, comprehensive plan. That's why my program really, especially now, and I'm happy to say it, if I'm not saying you have to go to college, because there's plenty of people that didn't go to college that have thrived with the program, but you got to be the type of person who has a lot of intellectual energy, a lot of mental energy, overthinker, probably go to college. There's again, the workbook, you're filling it out. You're going through it and fill it out. A lot of concepts, a lot of stuff you're filling out, but once you got it, you got it. It's a whole blueprint you live by. And when you're not doing well, you can go right to the blueprint. Oh, my motivation, tweak it. And so it's like a diagnostic manual, but it takes effort and thought. So again, I know most dieters just want the quickest, easiest, get thin quick scheme. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in genuinely showing you how to create the mind, how to think, live, and eat like a thin and healthy person for the rest of your life. And if anyone tells you that's not going to take some time, effort, and commitment, they're lying to you. It's no different. Living at your goal weight is no different than learning a musical instrument, learning a language, learning a hobby, learning to draw. It's no different. And it takes that kind of commitment and focus and approach. And there is no hack. There's no fucking hack. That's why you keep struggling, because you keep looking for hacks to lose weight, shortcuts, quick fixes, tricks, tips. And there aren't any. There aren't. There's either you know how to think, live, and eat like a thin, healthy person, or you don't. It's pretty much that simple. Which isn't to say you can't lose weight with any of these hacks and diets or whatever. You can absolutely lose weight for a little while with them. The game I'm playing is how to live at your goal weight. Totally different. So I don't know. Yeah, portion controlling is important. Certainly, you're not going to eliminate your cravings. That's pretty much never going to happen, but you can manage your cravings. There's a lot of things you can do to improve your cravings, meaning you reduce the unhealthy ones and you improve the healthy ones to run automatically. So you're naturally not generating as many unhealthy cravings, and you start to generate a lot more healthy cravings. That's where you want to get to. So we want to do all that. We want to influence our cravings, and we want to influence our portion sizes. We're going to work on both of those things and Program Yourself Thin. They're both needed to live at your goal weight. So yeah, what Jim said. Slow and steady wins the race. Yes. Slow and steady does win the race. I mean, listen, if there was a fast way to lose weight and keep it off, I would teach it to you. I don't want to go slow. I would love to have a method where you could lose 10 pounds a week and you stay there. That's all I'd be talking about. I've never seen it, not even once. I've never once seen some super fast weight loss method work long-term. I've never seen it. So I'm just here to share with what I see as the truth. And my truth is based on over 30 years of personal experience in this and over 20 years professional experience doing this. There are not too many people that have dedicated their life to helping people live at their goal weight. It really is a different frame. And, again, the difference between losing weight and living at your goal weight is night and day. They are two, one's pointing east and one's pointing west. I mean, they're completely opposites. Because losing weight, when all you care about is losing weight, everything becomes about getting to your goal weight. And you think of it as a short-term process that's temporary. And then your brain says, well, let's do it as fast as possible. And then that focuses you and sets you up to find the most extreme plans possible. And there you go. You're off to the races of failure now. And living at your goal weight is all about how can I live at my goal weight for the rest of my life? It's a completely different process. Because when it's just about getting to my goal weight as quick as possible, you can try and change everything all at once so you lose weight quickly so you can get to your goal weight. But then what? You can't maintain it. It was never built to be maintained. And when living at your goal weight, we start to slowly and systematically create a way of thinking, living, and eating that gets you to your goal weight and then keeps you there for the rest of your life. You've never done that. Isn't that crazy? How about that? You've never even tried that. And I know you've said, oh, I've tried everything to lose weight. Nothing works. Well, you've never tried this. You've never even thought this. Your goal has never once in your life been to live at your goal weight. That should be real upsetting for you, considering how much you've thought about your weight. But it also should be really exciting and inspiring for you because, holy shit, I've never thought that. This is a new way. Oh my God. It's a new path. It's a new way to get what I want. And what the fuck do you got to lose? You've proven diets don't work. It's not you. It's not your willpower. It's the idea of dieting. It is the strategic failure of dieting that is the reason it doesn't work. It's not your willpower. Dot says, have you lost a lot of weight? I mean, in general in your life? Yeah, I mean, I lost 50 pounds over 30 years ago. And that was the big, weight loss for me. And but more importantly is I've maintained that weight loss for 30 years. I had one blip about 13 years ago where I put 25 pounds on, took that off. And so, yeah, I've lost weight, but more importantly is I've learned how to live at my goal weight on near autopilot. I can't stress that enough. That's the real important piece. Losing weight quickly is what you've been trained to do your whole life. So when you think about weight loss, you think about doing extreme short-term things to lose weight. and it's a complete and total vacuum of how to live at your goal weight forever. Like such a total vacuum that there's nothing there. If I ask you, what's the Chinese word for ball? I want you to notice how there's just a complete absence of thought there, right? You're not like, oh, I remember that word. What's that word? Oh, what's on there's none of that. You're just like, nothing. And when I say, how are you going to live at your goal weight for the rest of your life on your autopilot? Notice if that feeling feels very similar. There's nothing there. You've never learned that. You got a big old empty room in your house, and it's the room that says, how do I live at my goal weight for the rest of my life on your autopilot? You open up, there's nothing in there. Nothing. So it's not even about you trying to get yourself to do it. You fucking have no idea. You know as much about living at your goal weight on your autopilot as you do Chinese economic theory. There's just nothing there. You don't know anything about it. So how are you going to do it? That's what I try to say every day. And I give you a way forward, and it's free. It's getting my hypnosis session. It's watch the video I made for you. It's reading the emails I send you. It's taking the goal weight. I give you more free shit than anyone. Okay. So all you have to do is click your little fingers over onto my profile and get the hypnosis session I give you. It's free. I don't know. I'm about to start paying people. I find that I will tell you that is probably my biggest question professionally when I do this. I'm here every day and I'm like, oh, every day I'm talking about this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, here's a bunch of free shit to get you started. And it's just very few people really take any action and do it. It's free. But that just reinforces the deeper message, which is the real heartbreaker, is that you all weigh what you want to weigh. I know it sounds strange to say you want to be overweight. You don't technically want to be overweight, but your desire and motivation to lose weight is here. And your desire and motivation to keep eating the way you're eating and living the way you're living is up here. So, you don't want to be overweight, but this situation, it's the same effect. So you weigh what you want to weigh. Your weight is really a motivation score more than anything else. And the first thing you'd have to do is get more motivated to lose weight. And you're not. Everyone thinks they're motivated to lose weight when in reality they're not. So most people's first, step is to create actual motivation. That says, how do I deal with a bloated stomach and puffiness in my face? You don't deal with those things. Those things are effects. There's cause and effect in life. Okay. And effects happen. They're like reflections. So for example, your weight is a reflection. It's an effect. And the cause is your eating and your lifestyle. So your weight is a reflection of your eating and your lifestyle. Right. But asking how I could change my reflection is like saying, okay, how can I change what I'm looking at in the mirror? And you start drawing on the mirror. That's not how you do it. You have to change what's being reflected. So when you say, how do I deal with a bloated stomach and puffiness in my face? The bloated stomach and puffiness in the face are a reflection of how you're eating and living. So the better question is, how can I change my eating and living so that my face is less puffy and my stomach is not bloated? That would be a much more accurate question to ask. And that's where I want to put my energy at. Because you can't just put fucking ice cubes on your face. I don't know how you get a bloated stomach. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's nothing you're going to do. Just like weight, you can't lose weight. The only way to lose weight, you chop a limb off and then you weigh less. But short of that, the only way to lose weight is to eat differently, lower your calorie consumption, live differently. And over time, through some magical process, your weight goes down. But you're not making it go down. You have no control over the effect process. You have control over the cause. So that says, but how do I keep the motivation for a long time? Well, you need real motivation. Most dieters aren't motivated to begin with, and they wonder why the motivation disappears. So, a good way to approach this is to think about things in your life that you're really, truly, genuinely motivated about. So for a lot of you, you're truly, genuinely motivated to be a good parent, to be the best parent you can be. And so whether you're sick, tired, feeling like it or not, you're always showing up for your kids. If you're married or, in a relationship, you might do that with your partner. If you're in school, you might do that with school, right? Even if you're tired, sick, don't want to do it, you still do it. Why? Because you're motivated because you want to graduate school. Okay. So there's always things in our lives that we will do, even when we're tired, sick, all the rest of it, because we're truly motivated to do it. At work, right? You want to sleep in all day, but you go to work, you get up and go to work. Why? Because you want to get that paycheck so you can live the life you want to lead. So figuring out your weight loss motivation, a good thing to do is to measure your weight loss motivation and how it's so conditional and low compared to things that you're genuinely motivated about. It's not a trick question, by the way. It's not about thinking what you're motivated about. It's about looking at your life and noticing what you do, regardless of you're tired, sick, bored, or not. Working, parenting, relationships. There's other areas of your life, things you show up for consistently because you're committed to them at a higher level. You should reference those as what real motivation feels like. And then ask yourself the question, how can I get my eating motivation, my weight loss motivation up there? And a lot of times the answer is to start weaving your weight around those other motivators that are more important to you. So instead of trying to make weight more motivating to yourself, trying to make it more important to yourself, you pick areas of your life that are already motivating to you: work, parenting, relationships, hobbies, things that matter to you. And you say, how could me at my goal weight, being that version of me, living, eating that way, how would those things impact these areas of my life that are so important? Now you start to create more motivation. Maybe school's really important to you. Well, you at your goal weight, eating and living in a way that allowed you to be at your goal weight, wouldn't that also positively impact your ability to be the student you want to be the employee you want to be, the employer you want to be, the partner you want to be, the parent you want to be? Anything that's important to you in your life is going to improve when you're at your goal weight as the happiest, healthiest version of you. So that's the secret to becoming more motivated. It's not to try to say, oh, now I care about my weight. Oh, it's Monday, first Monday of May. So now I care about my weight. Huh? How's that work? Let's find things you're already genuinely motivated by and committed to and weave the weight around that. Hope that makes sense. Dot says, yeah, bro, just giving us the best advice for free. Exactly. For real. It is literally the best advice you're going to get. Like I am just on another planet with this. No one's even talking in this way. Everyone's talking about weight loss. And I know why, because I've been doing this for a long time. And I will admit there have been times in my life where it's like, okay, if you want to do weight loss, you got to sell it like weight loss. And you know what that means? You have to start making ridiculous short-term claims. How to lose 50 pounds this month. How to lose 10 pounds this week. The easiest way ever to lose weight. I admit I've done it. And finally, you do stuff long enough and you just evolve. And finally say, yeah, fuck it, doesn't work. So now it's like, I say this all the time. I'm the luckiest. You are literally looking at one of the luckiest people on the planet. I do not take this for granted. I'm one of the luckiest people personally and absolutely professionally. So I get to do this for a living. I'm well compensated. I do some private coaching. I do group coaching. I'm on program, and I'm very thankful and grateful for that situation. And I give back by doing this every day for free, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern. I'm on here answering your questions, talking about the real world here. And I do this for free because this is a mission for me. This all started for me because my father died of a heart attack when he was 54. I was 9 years old. And it doesn't take much analysis to figure out that's where this comes from. That's how I end up here today, And so it's a mission for me. Your weight is probably more important to me than it is to you. Because to me, your weight is the number one factor that's going to dictate how long you're alive and your quality of life while you're here during those years. And so for me, this is a mission and a passion. And it's why I give so much away for free. And I got a whole bunch of other shit I'm giving away for free. So it's like I said, the beauty for me is I've been able to, I think of like the Robin Hood model. The people that can invest with me do. And that's where I support myself. And I just give everything else away. And the next thing, I just gave away a goal weight quiz. You don't know your goal weight, folks, just so you don't even have the right goal weight. I can guarantee your goal weight's wrong. How about that? Don't believe me? Go take the goal weight quiz I put together for free. You have to get on my email list first and I'll send it over to you. But that's the starting point. And then the next thing after that is I got a book I am working on. So probably a couple of months, but that'll be out. And I'm going to make that as cheap as I can possibly make it. I would give it away for free if I could, but you have to charge something for it on Amazon. So it'll be $1 for the Kindle version, I'm thinking, unless it has to be more than that. But if I can make it $1, it'll be $1. And if I can make the physical book, I'll just make it as cheap as I can make it for them to make it for you. Don't even give a fuck. Take it. Take it. It's going to be awesome. So I'm excited for you. And I am doing this all for free because this is a mission for me. It really is. So that's why I'm here every day. But now I gotta get out of here. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the comments, the questions. It's always good to get those. And if you are not in my world, click the link in my bio, go to Program Yourself, then get the free hypnosis session I give you, watch the video I made for you, and read the emails I send you, and take the goal weight quiz. Okay. Just to get started, and I'll help you out. And then I'm here every day, Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern, to answer any questions you may have. Happy to answer them. And if you miss them and like listening to it, this is also a podcast. Program Yourself. Then you can go look at all the podcast platforms. It's there, and you can listen to it. So, all right, everyone, have a super duper day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.